Hello YouTube. Have you ever heard about Airbnb? Of course you had. It's a huge online marketplace for lodging, primarily homestays for vacation rentals and tourism activities and whatnot. So coming from data analytics background, in today's video, we'll be building a super easy dashboard on Tableau using Airbnb data. And this video is specially made for beginners who want to get a hands-on tutorial on Tableau because I have explained each and every step in most easiest way. So this video will be divided into two parts where I have distributed the content equally so that any beginner watching this can practice those on its own and later jump towards the next part. So without wasting any time, let's jump to our content. So this is the data which is available with us, and I've purposely chosen a very simple data set so that every beginner watching this can correlate to this in much more simple way. So this is the Airbnb data set from US, United States. So starting with host ID and host sense, I will first explain what the host stand for. So host is a person who hosts his or her apartment on Airbnb so that other people can rent it. Then this is the date on which he have listed his apartment. Then the name, we have neighborhood, which stands for region. So in the US we have Manhattan, Queens. There are five such unique regions which we have the data for. Then the property type, whether the property is apartment, boat, bungalow, cabin, and n number of apartments, property types which we have here. Then the room type, whether it's a shared room, private room, or an entire home or apartment. Then the zip code for each region. Then we have number of beds. How many number of beds does this apartment have? You can see this has just one bed. This apartment has three beds. And the number of records, number of reviews, prices, what is the price for this particular apartment or house, and finally we have review score rating. So these are all the features available with us, and let's see how can we use these features and incorporate them into our dashboard. So let's jump towards our Tableau public interface and import this data right away. This is our data available here, and I've imported this into our Tableau public interface. I can see all my features available here, and I can also change my feature data types by clicking here fields. So let's say for example I want to change the data type of the zip code from this geographic data type to, let's say, string. So I can just click here and change it to string. So anyways, I'm satisfied with the data type and this preview page as well. I can see all my features here. So let's move towards our sheet number one. Before starting, the dashboard which we'll be going to build is for complete beginners trying to learn Tableau from scratch. So we'll be dealing with the simple yet important visualizations. So let's begin with our first visualization. Here we have pin code over here, and also we have prices. So let's try plotting our prices based on the pin code we have. So here the most effective way and amazing way to plot this can be by using map visualizations. So how can we use map visualization? Now here we have zip code, okay, which is a pin code for each of the region. So firstly, make sure that it has this geographic logo. That means Tableau will automatically detect that it's a feature which deals with geographic data. So if it's not, by chance, you can click here and click on geographic role. So what this feature denotes, so in our case it's zip code, so I'll click on here. But now in this case, Tableau has automatically detected that this is zip code and geographic feature. So now, firstly, we need to drag this zip code onto our sheet. Now, when you're dragging this, you'll see why our regions are not getting appeared. And we know that our zip codes are right and our data is right. So why there are around 186 unknown values? So let's see. So click here. Click on edit locations. Now here you will realize that our zip codes are right, but country region which Tableau has detected is India. So but our zip codes are from US. So what we'll do, we'll click here and change the location to USA. You can see United States here, just click here and now click on OK. Now, once you click on OK, you can see all my data which is cluttered over here. Why? Because the regions which I have, which is Manhattan, I have Queens, I have Staten Island, all these regions belong to east part of USA. So that's the reason all my data is cluttered over into this specific region. So how can I zoom into this particular region? For that, you need to click here and click on this zoom area. Now here we can select the particular area which we want to have a point of focus. Just select this area. Now when I zoom this data, I can see all my data points visible properly. I can zoom a little bit more so as to have a much more clearer view. Now it's much more better. Now, as we discussed before, I also want to include prices into this visualization. So how can I do this? Over here in this measures, I have prices option, which is the price of each of the listing which this host have included in Airbnb. So we just need to drag this prices into color. Now, as you can see, when I'm including this prices feature in my color option, my every zip code gets colored automatically based on the prices. For instance, you can see prices being distributed from 40 to 2,37,500, where 40 stands for the zip code which have the lowest prices, while 2,37,500 stands for the region which is having highest prices. So you can see, for instance, the zip code having 07105 have the price of 50, which has lower shade of or lighter shade of blue, while this region having zip code 11211 has maximum price, so it has much more darker shade of blue. Now, by default, Tableau has computed prices as sum of prices, but I don't think price is the best way to use this in our visualization. Why? Because let's say we consider two zip codes. So let's say this is the first zip code 0105, 07105, and let's consider this zip code which is 11211. So if one zip code has only 5 rooms and other zip code, let's say, have 100 rooms, so if we consider sum as a measure of prices, then eventually those prices would sum up and the zip code having 100 rooms will be shown in a darker shade. But since we want to compare prices irrespective of number of rooms, it's best to take average of those prices. So how can we do this? We can click on this drop down and click measure, and we can select average. Now as you can see, my range of prices have been changed from 40 to 1500. Technical part is done, but now when I'm hovering, you can see there is a lot of spaces between zip code and average prices. I can see zip code, there are n number of spaces, and there is value of 11368. How can I change this? We just click on tooltip and we'll just reduce all those spaces so that whenever we hover on that particular region or zip code, I can see all my prices, all my values displayed properly. And as you can see, all my values are displaying properly now. Now, if we consider the appearance of this dashboard, now since we are making this dashboard for Airbnb, you can closely observe that the color range or the color combination of Airbnb is generally red or white or red or black. So let's do this color combination as per Airbnb. Now, how can I do this? So firstly, I want to change this color palette to red. And secondly, I need to change this background color from white to black. So basically red will be much more attractive on black than white. So firstly, to change this color palette, we need to click on this drop down and click on edit colors. Here, you need to change this palette from automatic to red and click on apply. And you can see all my colors have been changed as per this palette. Now, secondly, I need to change this background color to black. So how can I do this? Firstly, you need to click on this map option here, and here, from there you need to click on this map layers, and we need to click style as dark, and you can see my visualization is much more attractive now. Now I've just renamed this sheet as average prices based on zip code, and same has been reflected on this title, and I'll just make this title in the center and click on apply. Now here you can, in this map layers, you can also choose whether you want to enable this zip code for boundaries or you want to enable zip code labels. or this country names, or you want to disable this state province borders. So it completely depends upon you. So let's move towards our sheet number two. Considering this sheet number two, I want to see what are the top regions based on the ratings they have. So in the dimensions, I have neighborhood, which is eventually our regions. And in measures, I can see there is review score ratings, which is a rating for this particular property listed by the host. So firstly, I need to drag this neighbor into this column. And secondly, I need to drag this review score rating into these rows. Now, as usual, Tableau has computed these values as sum. I need to change it to average as we discussed before. Now you can see, firstly, I'll just swap these rows and columns. We'll just click on here. We'll just click swap rows and columns, and I'll click on entire view so that all my page will be occupied with this particular graph. So I'll click on entire view so that my whole space is consumed. Now, one thing you can observe is the values from 0 to around 80, 85 is common for all these regions. So how can I just visualize these values, which are just my point of concern, my values of concern? So for this purpose, I can just right click and click on edit axis, and I can just deselect this include 0 so that I can just get the values which I am concerned of, which are from 90.08 to 92.4, and this looks pretty good as well. Now here I need to sort this in descending wise, because you can see the top region, which is Brooklyn, is on second rank. So for this purpose, there are two options, whether I can sort in descending wise or I can sort in as ascending wise or in descending wise. So I'll click on sort it descending wise. So you can see my Brooklyn is on top, and Staten Island, which has average rating less, which is 90, is on the fifth rank. Now here, I'll just deselect this field label, and even from here, I'll just deselect this label, and also I want to remove these grid lines which are rendering in the background. How can I do this? Just click on format. And now here you can change the font of these labels, you can change the color of these fonts, you can add the grids, and here in this lines you can select or deselect grid lines. So I have these grid lines in columns, so I'll just deselect them, and you can see my grid lines have disappeared. Now I've renamed the sheet name as top region rating wise, and same has been replicated here. I'll just click into the center. I just bring it to the center and click on apply. Now again, when I see tooltip, I need to change the tooltip because I can see there are a whole lot of spaces between neighborhood and its value. So just quickly click on tooltip and remove all the spaces so that all my values are displayed properly. And now again, coming towards the appearance, since we have chosen red and black combination, we'll change the color format to red. So you can change it to this or this. So I think this would be much more better. And background, we can change background to black. So for changing background, you need to click on you need to right click, you need to click on format, and in the sheet you need to click on this shading option and sheet. You need to change the worksheet color to black. Now here, when you select black color, you can see labels are also in dark, in some lighter shade of gray. So I need to bring it to white. How can we do this? Just click on right click here and click on format in this axis. And now here you can click on this font tool, and from this font tool you can change default worksheet color as white. So you can see all my labels are colored into white. Now similarly, we'll also change the sheet title font to white. We'll just select this title and change it to white and make it bold and click on OK. Now as you can see, our sheet 2 is ready. I have got my top 5 regions based on the ratings. So let's move towards sheet number 3 now. Now in this sheet number 3, I want to see what are the top regions based on the availability of beds. So basically which region I'll be getting maximum number of beds. But this is not everything I want. I want to also see what is the share of each room type. So in each region, let's say Manhattan, how many beds are available in each of room type? So let's see how can we deal with this. So firstly, like before, firstly we need to import this neighborhood, which is our regions, into a column. Then secondly, we need to import the beds. We have number of beds available here. We'll just bring it into rows. Now here, let it be sum, because having sum actually satisfies our requirement, and we'll sort it as descending, and we'll just flip our rows and columns, and we'll just click on entire view so that our graph occupies the whole space. Firstly, I'll just remove all these grid lines for better presentation. We'll just click on this lines and get into columns and disable our grid lines. Now I also want to see what is the share of room types. So for that purpose, I need to bring this room type into this color, so we can see properly what is the share of each room type available in each region. Let's say for example, if we consider in Manhattan, we can see, if we consider this room type as entire home or apartment, we have 17,000 beds available. In Manhattan, private rooms, we have 6,000 beds available, and we have lowest beds in shared rooms, which are only 554. Now here, I can see I have maximum beds on the right hand side, but I want this maximum beds to the left hand side. So what I can do is I can just go into this room type. I have legends already displayed here. I can just grab my entire home and room apartment and scroll it at the bottom, and I'll bring this private room in the middle. So I can see my minimum bed are appeared on the right hand side, and maximum beds, all the maximum beds are on left hand side. So you can do it as per your requirements. Now again, I'll just remove these field labels, just hide field labels for rows, and even from x-axis, double click on this and just blank this beds. Now we'll just rename this as top regions bed availability, and same will be replicated on the title. We'll just bring our title on the center and click on apply. Now it's time to change the color as per the Airbnb color code. For that, we'll just click on this color, edit colors. Now we can assign each color with different colors to different legends. So as you can see, I have used red color palette. So for maximum beds availability, I have given a darker shade of red and gradually reducing the shades. For the lowest beds available, I have given a lighter shade of red. So we'll click on OK. Now it's time to change this background color to black. So similarly what we did last time, we'll click on format, we'll get into the shading part, click on sheet and change the white color to black. And for legends, we'll right click on legends, the axis, click on format, and then in fonts, we'll change the font color to white. And similarly for the title as well, bold. So as you can see, our sheet number 4 is ready. Sorry, sheet number 3 is ready. Now this is actually satisfactory, but I think we should also include the labels. So you can see the beds are 17,000. So we can add this value in form of labels here. For that purpose, we can click on beds and we can grab this into this label. So as you can see, our labels are available, but I don't want this in this 5 digits. I just want to represent this in thousands or K. So for that purpose, I'll just get into this drop down. I'll click on format and I'll just change my number format to 1 decimal, and display units will be thousands. So if the number is huge, you can also display it using millions as units as millions. But now in this case, it will show 0 million because our number is comparatively very less. So thousands will be the best choice for us. Now similarly we'll do for this regions as well. We'll grab this ratings over here. You click on labels. Now here by default, as you know, Tableau has computed this sum. We need to first change it to average, and now we can click on format and change the number format as one decimal. I think one decimal is much more presentable, and I don't need to change the display units because it's already in hundreds, so this is fine. So till now we are done with the sheets, average prices based on zip code, top region rating wise, and top region as per beds availability. So we'll stop here, and in next part we'll plot a beautiful time series visualization followed with consolidating all these sheets into one dashboard. We'll add filters, we'll add additional KPIs, and finally make the dashboard the most presentable and beautiful. So that's all with this part of tutorial. Till then, have a look at other amazing tutorials which I have posted earlier. I'll be keeping them in end screen. So this was all from my side. Stay safe, take care, and stay tuned for the next part.